Welcome back, everyone. Welcome. We have a lot to say.
Yes, we do.
Out of our period of silence
and
contemplation and deep cranking of epic proportions.
Well, we usually have a lot to say.
Right.
Because that's just who we are.
That's true.
But yeah, we have a lot going on.
We have a lot to say because I had to literally, so did my Baberton Suite, also known as Crankerton Suite, this week. Might I just say.
The amount of nicknames that come out of this house is wild. Let's first start off by letting them in on the vocabulary here, right?
But what is a crank?
A crank is pretty much how I would describe it as a hard-working season. And that season can be weeks. That season can be half an hour. But like, I'll give you an example. It's better in a sentence. After we finish up lunch, we're both like, let's go up to the office and crank. Get your head out of the gutter.
Not that kind of crank.
Maybe only mine went there. But anyways, cranking is just like our word for like, another get your head out of the gutter, by grinding, or like working on the business.
Why are all these words so sexual?
Why are they all sexual? But you know what I mean? So
yes.
we just been cranking heavy.
Yeah.
And it feels so good because last time we made an episode, it was, let's call it an odd episode to say the least. It was different because, we weren't really meant to be recording.
Yeah.
At least we had the cameras on, it was recording, but you didn't want to record. And so a lot of the episode, like the audio wasn't the best because I was away from the microphone. You were away from the microphone, talking a bit lower. But you just felt the calling to still let that episode out, even though it wasn't perfect, because within that experience was also a big lesson for you to like kind of let go of it needing to look a certain way and be a certain way, and just continue to honor what we've really just fully embodied over the past handful of months, if not years, of just being our full authentic self on camera through all the emotions.
Yeah.
And it's been so amazing to see, at least from my perspective, because ever since that day, it feels, this past month, I'd say it's probably been about a month, you have just, you went sicko mode, in like the best way, goblin mode. All these freaking references, I swear. But truly, it's like the amount that you've done for yourself and your own level of just like honoring what's best for you in your personal life. And then also how much you've cranked in business. I've never seen you working harder and working more joyfully in my entire life with you. And it's just been awesome to see. It's been really, really cool. And it's having us now in the state to very soon we can launch some amazing products to the world and projects. And overall, the best part of it is like, it feels like the next level, the next evolution, the next version of the El Beecher, soon to be El Hogan, has been unlocked.
You serious?
Yes, actually.
Yes, and actually. And I want to touch on something because this show is so wild, really. We bring you into the honesty of our experience. That is our intention. And as you've seen through this show, I have very spontaneous surges of emotion. I have no problem crying randomly, bursting into tears unexpectedly. I never really expect to cry, but when it comes out, I don't stop it and usually go somewhere really interesting. And that is a very unusual for a podcast. And I just want to first commend everyone listening to this for your level of emotional maturity and your level of competence. It's a unique mix of two things that are interplaying within you in the perfect balance to be able to hang in with us. This is an odd show. Yeah. This is not a normal podcast by any stretch of the imagination. And it takes a very specific person who's balancing the intuitive and the intellectual to hang in on this roller coaster ride, because it takes a very strong kind of person to witness someone like me have spontaneous surges of emotion and then turn towards that instead of away from that. And so I just want to start there by saying, if you've noticed that the last couple of episodes, I've had many moments of emotion. And I even, received a text from my mom saying like, you seem like you're in a bad place and like, what's up with the sad girl energy? And I just want you to know that every time I go into dips, I emerge stronger. Like every time I publicly emote like that, I am entering into a season of like the phoenix rising from the ashes. It happens every time. So for me personally, when I like burst into tears spontaneously in an episode, or we have that episode where I didn't even expect for us to post it, but I was the one who was like, no, for my growth, I want to post that episode where the audio was a little jank. You couldn't really hear what we were saying. I wanted to do that for me because it not being perfect and not being like the most amazing, detail oriented, all the audio is perfect for you guys is actually a huge level of growth for me because I like everything to be I's dotted, T's crossed. So that was kind of a huge moment of letting go for me to even let that conversation see the light of day. But I just want to re-emphasize to anybody who may be wondering, like, am I in a good place? What's going on there? Every time I go down on the dip, I literally am just rounding a corner to go higher. And I am thrilled when we have an episode where I do that. Like afterwards, I feel so good because I'm like, oh man, not only did I allow that to happen without stopping it, because a lot of the times when an emotion comes up, you want to stop it. You want to cut it right where it is and just be like, this is not the time. I should not be crying. I'm being recorded, all this. And all these stories start playing. But as I've practiced with this through this podcast, so thank you guys for witnessing this, I've been able to hang in with my own emotion. And the more I'm able to hang in with my own emotion, I'm able to like guide you guys through the maze of what I'm experiencing. And it would not be surprising at all for me to hear that you guys cry when I cry, because it's a powerful amount of honest emotion that's coming out when I just like am in mid-sentence and then just start bawling. So if you feel a well, and I even listen to myself back, and in the moments I cry again. It's a very powerful, almost like seismic wave that I'm sending you through these episodes. And if you find yourself feeling an emotion alongside me, that's the point. Like I feel the point of this show is to emote in public, actually bring you into the experiences, because chances are if you're here, especially at this point, if you're here, you're probably going through a lot of the same things that we're going through. You're probably walking a very similar path to what we're walking. So us talking about this stuff and bringing you guys along for the ride as if you're right here in our living room with us, anytime you feel yourself getting more emotional because you're following my lead or you're allowing yourself to go there, that is a really good thing. That is going to allow you to do the same thing I do, which is you go down on the map of consciousness, you feel the feelings, and then you skyrocket back up, because just sitting here at the end of a series of episodes where I was very emotional in ways that surprised me, from going from that string of recordings, which we were doing weekly, to having, like I said before, a prolific crank. I mean, I'm talking like incredible levels. I have never produced more high leverage stuff in my life than I have in the last 2 weeks. And what was it, 2 weeks or
a month plus? It
felt like infinity and also a day. But I created so many things that were so important that are going to allow this ecosystem of what Cam and I are creating to go so far beyond like the two of our physical bodies. And I did it all in like one fell swoop. It was like every day, what's the most higher leverage task? Done. And I really feel it's because I sat here and cried. So I just wanted to tie this in a bow by saying I really appreciate anybody who is concerned about my well-being, or who is like, whoa, like that's wild. Like, is she going through something? Yeah, I definitely was going through something. And I bring that to this show unexpectedly for a reason. It's beyond what I can comprehend, whether it's what I said or it has a place in this content universe that I can't even see with my eyes right now. But all I know is that if it comes through me to share, I'm not going to stop it, no matter what the emotion is. And I want everyone to feel empowered, to feel alongside me, or feel in your own way, or take what we have to say and just do whatever feels right on the step of journey that you're on. Revisit our past episodes, understand the certain feeling signature of things, like whatever you notice in yourself as you experience what we talk about, is so telling. Like, we are a direct mirror to you. So through our expression, just showing up and being ourselves, you can learn so much about yourself, which is probably why you're here. So I'll stop it there and would love your thoughts there, baby. But I just wanted to address that head on because I would probably be concerned if it was watching me too.
Yeah. And, my reality and my interpretation and perception of you, because I hang out with you more than anyone ever, probably. We literally probably talk 8 hours a day,
Yeah.
plus work and, all the other things that happen. And what's kind of funny to me is that I feel as if nowadays you emote and express more when we're in front of the camera and microphone than you do the other 98% of our life.
Can't explain
And
it.
I really feel for some reason, of course, there's so many things that we've looked into of what we're meant to do here, why we're doing what we're doing, and why we just have both this intuitive inclination to create and to share in public. And there's something linked there to where you experience these emotions, especially when you're on camera for some reason.
Mhm.
And so it's so funny because, if you just watch the podcast, you're like, oh, she's deeply going through something. But it's like, no, like, yes, in that moment, yes.
Right.
But also like the other 97% of the time, she is one of the happiest people I've ever met in my entire life, most fulfilled, most jolly, most at peace. Her nervous system is probably the most restful out of anyone I've ever met. And so it's such a kind of distorted worldview of who you are, but also it's just reaffirming that we're making this podcast for a reason. And these emotions are coming up within us for a reason. And maybe it's because it's not just about us and a lesson we're meant to learn, but it's a lesson that we are all meant to learn, as in myself, you, and everyone watching. And that's
Right.
why it's highlighted in the moments where it's actually being captured for everyone to see. And so it's so, I think, just beautiful to see that, because not only do you have the courage now to be vulnerable like that and not judge yourself, and now have the courage to put out content like we did last week or a few weeks ago, even though it wasn't perfect, like, you have really opened the floodgates to authenticity. And because I feel like you leveled up in that moment when you put that podcast out, it feels like all the other behaviors that come from not feeling as if you can be fully authentic have just been eradicated over the past month.
Mm.
Like, in the past, myself and you included, we would do things that weren't the highest leverage tasks in the business. We call them mouse tasks, because they're more small leverage. They need to be done, but you're not really that important. We do those instead of the main thing oftentimes.
Yeah, you run around going, squeak, squeak, squeak.
Exactly.
Let's do squeak, squeak.
Exactly.
And then
Let me
you
answer
stay.
these emails. Let me not create the thing that
Let me move this design 2 pixels to the right.
Yeah, exactly.
Vibe.
And that's all a behavior that happens because we're not emotionally ready yet to do and create and be the person that we're meant to be. But after that podcast, it felt like, just like on the wall, like a switch was flipped in you. And to see just every day from a place of joy, not a place of we need to get this done and fear and anxiety, but a place of true joy, you were just what we call cranking every day on the highest leverage thing. And at the same time, it's like, other than me mentioning it or me, saying certain things about, let's say, your phone usage or scrolling social media or like that, you have been proactively yourself from a place of true love, it feels, and not force. You've been setting aside all the distractions to focus on creating and building the things you've been wanting to build for years. And to see all that momentum take place in the span of a month, and to see how far you've come, oh my gosh, it's been a great mirror for me. And it's been just a fantastic experience of life to watch your life partner go through that transition and build a momentum. And that's all being said, knowing full well that if you want to take the next 3 months off and do nothing and go back to scrolling your phone all day and want to only post perfect photos, that's okay. But like,
No.
it feels like it's now ingrained in you that it won't happen.
Yeah.
But just your new level of freedom is something that very few people have ever seen before, including myself. And so I'm just amazed and proud of you and grateful for you and just really excited about what the next chapter looks like.
Oh, thank you, my baby.
Of course.
It's been Wow. I didn't even really stop to think how long it's been, but I really feel like it was after that video because I was on my period on that video. And so this would have been a full cycle. So like 28 days later. And here we are. And it's just like, wow. Wow. How much has changed in that time? So just to bring this to life, because I personally am very excited about my cranking, season. It was absolutely, it's going to happen every month now because I feel we are very stable in this new energy. I feel like when 2026 started, Kim and I just had some kind of mode switched on. There was a new energy that was kind of coursing through the year. And it was like, it's time. We spent 2025 in such a deep contemplation and such a deep inner work in the forest, walking every single day, finding obstacles. Like I wrote in my piece, like you're walking through a dark forest and then all of a sudden like your foot's in quicksand and then you find a vine, you pull yourself out, but it has poison ivy on it and now you're itching and you're like, oh shit. And then you find a honeycomb. It's like, that's what inner work feels like, is there's always more. There's always something to deal with. There's always something to look at. It just never ends. And it's like, when am I going to get out of the forest? Damn, I'm ready. And I feel like 2026 was the final, like when we turned the corner of this year, it was us finally seeing the light filtering through the trees. And we were like, oh my gosh, we made it. We made it to heaven on earth. We made it to the meadow. And we had to walk through that very dark forest where it felt endless. I mean, all through 2025, Cam and I were experiencing unbelievable days where we would just be taken out for the whole day to just deeply feel things that we'd experienced from the past or sensitivities to certain environments. It was just such a sensitive year. It felt like a deeply personal year where we just needed to be removed and safe and grounded and in our own energy. And then 2026 came around and it was like a rocket, like the phoenix rising from the freaking ashes. So
100%.
We hope you're feeling that.
2025 felt like, our bodies are pretty much, and our minds are a hard drive system with all the memories, history, traumas, experiences of all our ancestors. And it takes clearing that out, siphoning the good from the ugly and removing all those things that no longer serve us. And like you're saying, we were that whole year, it felt like doing that.
Yeah.
Doing what, some call the shadow work or whatever you want to call it, whatever name you want to put on it. But it felt like that was our entire life for the longest time.
And we were also doing things, as you guys know, we talk about all the community work and everything. So like we were doing it was like the shadow and the light. Like we're doing a lot of things in the light that were really fun and awesome and positive. But then we were just like going home and slaying a bunch of dragons from the past. Like, oh shit.
It's like every night it's just like facing your demons, right? What they call, or like look in the mirror.
Like, and not you again.
I think we kind of we're at this point, and I'm not saying that, we're done, but we're at this point where we reach a level where we've let go of so much that it's looking really clear.
Look, the runway's clear.
And really fun. It feels like the games have begun and we're playing offense and we got a stacked team and we're ready. It feels like that. It feels like the training camp is out of the way. I love sports references. As you know. Exactly. It feels like that. And like now is time. And it's amazing to see. It's so much fun. I mean, every year feels like it deserves an entire book, if not every month.
Oh my gosh.
But man, it's feeling incredible right now. And so for us to just seize the moment and also realize like this too shall pass. There will always be seasons, whether it's a span of a week or a month or a decade, where we go up and down and just embrace that.
Yeah.
It's been something that we're really just, I now think, fully embodying. And it just feels fantastic.
And I think one thing that Cam and I are really focused on is creating a life where we can be seasonal. Like we want to give ourselves the gift of embracing whatever energy is naturally there. And in this period of time, I don't know how long it's going to last. As Cam said, it's going to change eventually. It always does because we mirror nature in that way. But in this period of time, I'm just getting so much energy, like creating. I finally unblocked the Boardwalks newsletter, which if you know some of the Boardwalks lore, I have literally had a link to subscribe to this thing on the website for like 2.5 years. Thousands of people went through and subscribed to a newsletter that did not exist. And so I just had this weird relationship with this newsletter where I was just in a holding pattern with it. It was like, not the time, not the time, not the time. And I finally did it. And not only the first edition, which actually came out on January 23rd, if I'm remembering correctly, but I created 4 additional editions. Like I am like so far ahead in this newsletter that I'm like, wow, like I am blown away. I'm usually someone who like does the thing that needs to be done at the very last second, which is a pattern I'm healing because I don't need to do that to myself and put myself in survival stress every time I do something. But that's just one example of like probably 20 things that are equally weighted that we did this month. Like this month was literally the equivalent of taking the most high leverage, biggest dragon we were afraid of and being like, nope, I gotcha. Slay, slay, slay. Here we go. We going. And then it was like moving through the freaking Avengers scene until we get to Thanos. We just watched that. I've never seen any of the Avengers movies or the Marvel movies for that matter. And then Cam's like, our Disney Plus subscription is expiring. What do you want to watch? I'm like, let's do that. Let's freaking watch the Avengers. So it just reminds me of that scene where it's like all of them are just going at it. And it's like one after the other, after the other, after the other until they finally reach Thanos. And it's like, oh, that's how I felt. And I feel like right now we are just in the middle of a wave. We're at the top of this wave. I'm now coming down because I'm going to go rest for a week on my period and like try not to touch any technology as much as I can and just trust Cam and our team member to hold down the fort because they're incredibly good at it. But I don't know, in this period there, I feel were ideas and epiphanies that came in that were like, I don't know, they felt enlightened. Like it literally felt like there were enlightened ideas coming in that just are going to make things so much easier, like bounteous. And the energy is circulating so well. And we're taking a main artifact and like creating echoes off this artifact. And it's like, oh my God, it makes so much sense to me. I didn't have the space to see this before now. We have no resistance to doing anything at all. It's just like to live with no resistance to creating the things that we want to create is a wild reality to live in.
Yeah. And that's something that, of course, you and I had a long talk about this morning, to where so much of our past reality, and I say past on purpose because it is something we're officially putting in the past, it feels, and just reality of so many others is everything feels complicated.
Yeah.
Every aspect, like health, relationships, work, all of it.
Yeah.
It's just, everything just feels so complicated. And we realize that it doesn't have to be that way. Life can be quite simple. We just have to remind ourselves that's the case. Yeah. And so for so long, I just remember myself running our businesses feel so much more complicated than it needs to be. Putting so much importance on a certain email or a certain task that importance actually made me push it off from doing it and made it last longer than needed to be and made us hire people we didn't actually need at that moment because I didn't want to do it and I thought only they can do it and they didn't get done, all those things. It brought so much because of the over-complication we had around certain things. But realize now it's like, if it doesn't feel incredibly simple, it's not in its final form yet. If it doesn't feel incredibly simple, there's more that we can do to simplify it. Because simplicity always works, and simplicity is what makes your life so great. And so it feels like if I'm really pinpointing one thing we've done over the past month is look at everything and do our absolute best to simplify it. And that's what's led us to now at this point where, you know, you're kind of rounding off past month of just absolute cranking and you're just like, oh, yeah. I can rest.
Yeah.
Like Thanos at the end.
In the like, Bali planet.
I can be peaceful.
He's like a humble farmer.
Yeah. After conquering the world.
That's how I feel. I'm a humble farmer with ripped off jorts.
Who deserved.
I deserve this.
The rest.
I do.
So it's just been a really fun, enjoyable time for us, it feels, because everything just feels so simple.
Yeah. And
I'm really interested to see, you know, a few years from now when we have kids and, you know, that throws a curveball into so much. But also it's like when you have the mindset of, I am determined to find the easiest, most joyful, simplest way to create this thing or build this family, whatever it may be, it just, that mindset serves you so well. And I can just feel in our voice right now, it feels just so much more calming
Yeah.
than ever before.
Yeah.
So, and I think it's only going to get better and better.
Absolutely. And at the same time, you know, Cam and I, in this moment, especially Cam, has been gassing me up heavy. But I want to talk about your breakthroughs. I want to talk about what Baberton's
Which
sweet.
one?
Yeah, true. Over the last month, I feel like you have just really started to see things incredibly clearly. We have this like inside joke that like it feels like every day baby comes to me and he's like, I understand it now.
I
And I'm like,
understand now.
what do you understand? It's just like every day, it's just like the awareness crystallizes more and more on some of these very small things. We can understand where the ego is coming in, which is so useful, and understand where it's like anytime it's more complex, if I'm trying to make things be a certain way, be somewhere that I'm not, be somebody who I'm not, be a quality that I don't currently have, or I'm hyper fixating on what I need to do in the future. That's a huge one. I would love for you to talk about that, your relationship with the future versus the present and how that's impacted your feeling of like totality. I'd love for you to talk about that.
Yeah. One thing that stands out to me immediately is whenever I start to get a role for something or get a lot of clarity on, especially how I want to be creating with the newsletters and videos or fitness and health, how I want to revitalize that and do that all in an amazing way, and just everything in our life. I feel like once I got the clarity and I started taking the first step, my mind immediately went to, all right, now this feels good. We've made some progress here. Okay, now let's map out step 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and keep going. And then at the end, after I've done all that, the entire movement that I've made now feels daunting.
Right?
And now any joy I had in it is like, oh, I remember like things with business. I'd spend the day thinking about what we do when we have like 24 employees.
Oh my God.
I'm like, we got 2 employees. What are we doing? You know? And so there's so much of that was taking place. And it's an ego trick, right? It's your mind trying to convince you that you must be over prepared or else something's going to go wrong and it's going to mess up what we already have. And so that was huge for me for so many things in life, everything in life. Just like how we do one thing, how we do everything. So that was monumental for me to truly understand that habit was happening. And I can see it for some things more clearly than others. But now that I see it, especially clearly for working and what we're building, how I want to create with our health, everything, it all just feels doable and manageable and exciting and joyous. It feels like the old expression. It's like, well, how do you run a marathon? It's like, well, one foot in front of the other. And just keeping that top awareness makes the utmost difference. And in particular, one thing that's really served me recently is understanding that a lot of my life, and I just wrote a newsletter about this in the past few days, it's a lot of my life I had the habit of half-assing things. I call it the half-ass insurance policy, right? To where we half-ass everything we're doing. We don't give it our 100%. That's pretty much what it means. If you don't give it your full presence, you don't make sure that it truly is like a work, everything you do, whether it's doing the dishes, making the bed, or, you know, making a huge decision in business, treat it as if it is a work of art. Like that level of presence and intentionality has really served me, because thankfully I lived a life where I can get away with either putting 20% of my effort or 60% and still do a good job and still have it be successful. But what that's been doing has been robbing me of my potential. And that difference between good and great, when you know you could be great and you're only being good or just good enough, that has caused me so much inner turmoil. And I realized it's not about external metrics, not about making a certain amount of money or whatever it may be. It's really about me knowing that when I rest my head on the pillow every night, I can tell myself, I gave it all 100%. I gave it 100% when I woke up in the morning, And I wanted to connect with nature, when I wanted to connect with the divine, put it that way, for the habits we have, when I wanted to connect with myself during the workout, to make sure I'm fully there, fully present with every set, with every rep. Make sure I'm fully present, of course, with you in all moments, with our employees, with the task at hand. It's like the level of presence I have, whatever percentage that is. Let's say if it was 20%, 60%, let's say now it's like 95 because I've really gotten a lot better at it. I don't think it's just a direct correlation, but I think it's a direct causation to how happy we feel in life.
Mm.
It's like if I'm 95% present, I'm 95% happy. And that has just become so clear to me, to where the only metric I have in life is how present am I being in this moment. And not only is that incredibly simple, not only is in the moments I've done that, I've had amazing results in terms of being so grateful for what I've created, or seeing so much more progress in the gym, even doing the same workouts I was doing a decade ago. But now just the level of intention I'm putting into it and enjoying how my muscles feel, enjoying how the bones, all that. When you really give it that level of intention and presence, it makes all the difference in the world. And so that's been huge and ginormous for me to begin embodying. And it's not perfect, and some tasks get to be too much, and I try to escape again or half-ass it, whatever it is. But that half-ass insurance policy is being used less and less throughout the day. And that's just led to such a dramatic improvement in not only the inputs and how I enjoy them, but the outputs and the results and what's happening, what's being done, and how much I'm enjoying life. And so that's definitely been, I think, the biggest takeaway over the past month for me.
Wow. I love that. I love that. And you touched on this very briefly, but I feel like it would be very helpful for people to hear this. Do you remember the conversation we had in the living room the other day where you, for like the last couple of weeks, you've been telling me, like, I really want to make a newsletter again. Like, I really want to create. It's all I want. I just want to have that in my day. It really is grounding. And we talk about like how Cam did 100 newsletters in 100 days. And the deadline he set for himself was it 8:08?
8 a.m. every morning.
Yeah, 8 a.m. every morning. So he'd wake up super early and he'd just create something right there and then have to send it at 8. And that was like obviously so hardo. I mean, truly 100 days of that. But it was also a moment in time that Cam like looks at very fondly. And then I had asked him in one of our prior episodes, what creations do you really feel proud of and proud to share? And we found that the through line of all the things he feels very proud of are the things that he put intention into. He put the perfect balance of the intuitive and the logical. He blended and balanced the masculine and feminine energies into the creation. So it had structure and it had flow. And it had a base level of expression that was then refined, like a beautiful raw gemstone refined into a beautiful diamond, like my ring. But
hey, have you flexed that yet to the crowd?
Well, the crowd's probably seen it, but yeah,
it's official.
That happened. Yeah,
disengaged, not
Miss
married yet.
Hogan, but yes, I do have the wedding band on. Yes, I do.
We are not married yet, but we are. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
We've been married pretty much since the beginning.
Yeah.
And that's just a formality and a little sparkly onto the cameras. But anyway, I digress.
I love when you do that voice.
my Jarvis voice.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Why is the Avenger so relevant? I get why everybody loves that movie so much.
Yeah.
So anyhoozle, what I was talking about was that moment where you were basically, this was on the head to bring you guys into it, of him telling me like, I really want to create. That's all I want. I just want to make newsletters I'm proud of. I want to make videos I'm proud of. And I feel like the videos are probably going to come on in February, but I want to just like unblock the channel because there's so much pressure that gets stuck if you're a creative person and you're not using that energy in a way that makes you feel like, oh, it almost feels like a release. I mean, your creativity is connected to your sexuality. So if you don't have a creative release as a creative person, and everyone's creative, then you're like, oh, damn, I'm feeling antsy. I'm feeling like, what's the point? Why am I on the rock, floating in space? Like you just start to go down a spiral. So I brought up to him, okay, you've mentioned to me many times the same thing. I want to create a newsletter. That's all I want. That's all I want. Why aren't you doing it? And then we had this beautiful conversation. And I'd love for you to share your takeaways and insights from that moment and what happened as a result of that conversation. And also that sly little ego trap that came in where we got to a good place and you started future projecting again.
Exactly.
I just love for you to bring them into that. I think it's very helpful.
So in that moment, you pretty much shared with me that it's like, you've had all these ideas for so long. You've had them written down. Some of you turned into scripts. Like, why haven't we actually made newsletters and videos about it? And let me tell you something, to have your amazing, competent, beautiful wife in a very like friendly place from curiosity, ask subtly, like, why haven't you done it yet? Oh, like if that doesn't get you moving as a man, I don't know what will.
Exactly.
And it was, I don't think it was ever your intention to be like an accountability partner, but the way you said it, I was like, well, I have to seriously reconsider what I'm doing with my life. It was like, I really have to ask myself, like, why aren't I allowing myself to do it? Like, I can make the time. Everything can still work perfectly while still me putting an immense amount of intention and presence into these creations. And at the end of that conversation, we got to the point where it's like, well, what if you do a newsletter this Friday? And I'm like, shit. Yeah, I can do that. And so I was like, yeah, sounds good. And so now we're filming this on Thursday. Newsletter's already been done. It's already been scheduled. All the marketing and the whole playbook for it around like posting on X and Thread and stuff, that's already been done.
Wow.
But the funny thing was though, like an hour after that conversation, I come back to you, or maybe a few days, and I was like, well, maybe I should create one every day then.
Right.
And it's like, no. Just one a week.
Right.
And so what happened there was my mind wanted to put more on my plate to overwhelm me.
Yep.
So that I dropped the plate.
Yes.
So I'm like, oh, the newsletter thing, I just can't do it right now. Because that's what I did in the past. It was like, other than taking itty bitty steps, it's like, all right, pretty much now here's a full-time job that you must put onto your life currently, if not more. That takes the utmost level of, creative energy, which is so different from just monotonous, get this thing done energy. I put this weight on me to make these small little tasks and fun projects turn into massive weights on my shoulders, which stopped me from ever actually carrying them any form of distance. And so you having kind of like why don't you get it done this Friday? And then having a conversation in the next handful of days where you're reaffirming to me like, no, literally just one newsletter for now. You can do one newsletter a week. And not make me go 100 steps ahead and need to be all this. I need to be putting out a video a day. And I was like, it's so funny how the mind jumps to something that is unreasonable.
Yeah.
To get us to completely disregard any progress we've made or any commitments that we've made so far.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen it with that. I've seen it with in the gym. Like, I got to work out 6, maybe 7 days a week because it's time for this. Like, I haven't worked out in a minute. Maybe you start with 2 days a week.
Right.
Maybe go on walks.
Oh yeah. So Cam, I don't think we told you guys about this because our last episode was me being emotional, but Cam is on a very unique journey to learn how to dunk.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see this man dunk. He has elite lower body genetics that are perfectly primed. That's what ChatGPT said. Perfectly primed to learn how to dunk. But it requires like a very specific regimen of exercises. But when Cam first started working with this trainer, actually, she's a walk host. Shout out to Iz Quain in Detroit. Let's go. So he started working with Iz. And then he's like, I'm going to do 5 workouts a week. And these are like really, I mean, you can tell more about them. They're quite like advanced and not normal. And they're like reconfiguring your entire body in these small little movements. And so you tell her 5 times a week. And I'm just thinking to myself, why? We're going from literally 0 to 5. Like, why?
Plus hosting a walking event on weekends. Plus doing 10, 15,000 steps a day. Plus like all those other things.
Yeah, you walk
plus
2 or 3
macronutrient
times
deficit. Plus all those other things. It was wild. And it's just like, I think a lot of people do that.
Right.
But I know for myself, that's always been something I've done my entire life. And really just seeing that pattern clearly and
Mm.
understanding like I deserve to treat myself with care. I
Yes.
deserve the slow, steady, enjoyable route, which is
Yes.
huge
Yeah.
because like my body deserves that. Every part of my being deserves that. And to whatever level I'm meant to be, how many times a week I'm meant to work out or whatever it may be, like that will happen over time incrementally. And it won't come from a place of now I've done this, I gotta do this now. It'll come from a place of this feels right. I think I would enjoy another workout this week. And of course, this is just one example, but this goes to everything in life. And so that's just been crystal clear. And so thankfully, back to what we're saying here, having more structure and making it very tangible and practical and real of what this may look like for me has been huge. And so I would call it structured art. It feels. Another part of that is embracing that this is art. Another conversation we've had recently is when people are making music, when people are designing clothes, when people are, painting on a canvas, whatever it is, they don't need to convince anyone why they're doing it. It's like, oh, they're artists. They love doing that. And the artists, I feel like they need to make money off it or certain people need to see it. Like that is the realm of artwork that society is deemed to be okay to put your time into. But when there's something like a newsletter or a video or all the other myriad things that we do, plus dozens, not hundreds of different ways that people express themselves, that's not really looked at as art. And that must be something that must be a viable, way of making money or a way of, getting XYZ, whatever it may be. And so when you have that stigma around your art or creation, it's leading to expectations that don't actually do the art justice. And so really embracing this is like generally just a piece of artwork and it doesn't need to be anything else except just something you enjoyed creating. You do the best of your ability. Having that mindset of it being art along with structure that feels incremental and reasonable in terms of making progress towards becoming more of an artist has been just the biggest unlock I felt. And I've noticed when I make that a priority, everything else feels easier. Like the things that are completely irrelevant to the creations, like other parts of the business or health, like we're saying, we keep on going back to these things because they're very, very, very big in our life right now. But everything else just feels easier. It's like when that's done and when I gave my 100% there, I feel like I can be a better fiance to you. I can be a better business owner and boss. I can be a better friend, whatever it may be. So it's just been really amazing to witness and to see within myself take these massive steps in the past month. And it's a future that I'm building that I'm very excited about.
I love that. Yeah, it's been incredible to watch you stabilize in this. And it just reminds me, like as you were talking, a visual came to me that was like there's this tendency once you get one plate spinning in the air to be like, okay, now 10 plates. And it's like, bruh, we just learned how to do one plate. Can we just chill here? And I feel like that is the dragon that you slayed. Was like, it can just be one plate right now. And that plate is like really large and makes a big difference. And sometimes even just honoring, like, I got one thing, like I got one newsletter every week. That newsletter now is going to get so much of your attention and so much of your energy and your devotion that it's going to be an incredible work of art that's probably going to go further than the 10 plates ever could. So I just been so proud to watch you like fully own that and allow your energy to be going into like this one thing that really moves people and really makes a difference. And then because you are loving that one thing that you create so much, all the other creations are really just leading people back to it. And it's like, wow, I've just loved watching you step into that new role because I feel the difference in your happiness. And I feel you just walking around with this sense of ease. And when you like walk downstairs from your office today and you were like, I scheduled my newsletter, it's coming out. Like I could just feel that you're so joyous, you're so excited. And it's your offering, to the world. And it's like, this is Cam's creation of the week. And I just feel really happy about it because you feel really happy about it. And I think it's kind of like a grounding anchor for your week that you look forward to and you think about and you rack your mind of like, what do I want to say? And it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just like, what's true right now? What's true that I want to bring through? And that's what you're so good at. And I just feel like this is just the beginning. This is literally just step one. Like right now, it's a weekly newsletter that you're writing. But like, who knows what step 10 will be, and we'll only know when we get there.
Yeah. It all comes down to meaningful work and moving your body for me. And now that I've been able to do those in a really sustainable way, plus so much time to connect with the person I love the most on the planet, like it's the perfect recipe for life right now. And I just feel in such a great place for 2026. And these next 11 months are just going to be amazing.
I totally agree. And I also would love for you to tell everybody about, I think especially as a man, understanding that your energy moves a certain way through the day and you have a lot of energy in the morning, and how certain routines that have been almost elusive. Like I think we're all kind of searching for like the perfect morning routine, the perfect day routine, right? And Cam, I think, has really simplified that and hooked onto a way that really works for him, which is just like literally 3 words. I'll let you tell them.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the motto.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to the body's so important, right? Because we're going from this life, as, you know, when we were primals, moving all the time, doing things all the time, but to now being super sedentary and our shoulders crunched in front of a computer for 12 plus hours a day, then going home and on the couch in a very weird form and watching the same screen or whatever it may be. Like it going from where we're from to that has had so many downhill or downstream consequences that we're not conscious of. And for, I think a lot, especially men in particular, when they don't move and create or build in their life feels meaningless.
Mm.
And I used to see these memes all the time, like on Twitter and things like that, where, you know, they'd show a guy who just looks sad. And then someone asks them, like, did you work out today? And the answer is always no. And it's like, in the morning, especially as men, because that's when our testosterone peaks the most, when we do things that we feel are conducive for our energy, when we move in the form of working out to some extent, and especially if we've created enough space in our life to create something like I've been doing recently, those 2 things set your day up to be a fantastic day. If that takes 1 hour or 3 hours to do in the morning, and you do that consistently, the other 21 plus hours every day, I guarantee you, is going to feel so much better. It's going to feel like a win. I've seen that in my life. I've seen that in the life of every person I've told this to. And just that on top of just returning to nature, of course, of getting as much sun as you possibly can, walking as much as you can, moving your body as much as you can, connecting with people, like looking in their eyes as opposed to like face to face as opposed to behind a screen. All those things, those little things. And then just the big one of creating something and having meaningful work that feels like you're building a better future. That is really the recipe. It's really that simple. And if every day we do things that resonate with that, the better we'll feel. And so me recently, my day is like, I prefer to have nothing on my calendar. I don't want any schedule. Like we talked about before, even though I'm not opposed to it, it's having the freedom of us to honor what feels right in that moment is very important for us right now. But for me, it's like first thing I wake up, I guess we can call it, what would it be? CWCB. Connect. That means oftentimes connect with higher power or connect with you, which I also put in that category. A. So it's connect and then it's move. The M there. And move in some form. And so that's a walk or a run or stretching, move, stretch, breathe, kettlebells or basketball, whatever it is for me, move. And then the next C is create and then build. And building can be, you know, either bigger or smaller tasks for business or your job, whatever it is. If you put the smaller tasks for the business before the moving or before the creating, you can just tell there's kind of like this manimal energy still in you. Like, I gotta get this. I gotta, you know, and it doesn't. You don't feel settled. There's pent up energy that hasn't been put in the proper categories, it hasn't been released properly, and so it stirs up in different ways. And I think, if we really get down to it, a lack of doing these four things in a positive direction is what leads to so many men nowadays having, I would say, an influx of energy at the end of the day that is now being put towards habits that aren't serving them. So
Energetic black holes.
energetic black holes. Exactly. This is video games. This is gambling. This is
Netflix.
Can't say it on here, but corn, but start with a
Yeah.
P. All those other things. It's so much energy that hasn't been put in the right direction that is finding its way out somehow. That's deeply what I believe is happening. And so, like I said, connecting with loved ones, connecting with the divine, if that's in your life at this moment, movement, creation, building something, those things. It doesn't matter how much money you're making. It doesn't matter if you're single or married. It doesn't matter. Like any of those things that we're told is like the biggest things that would make your life better. It may be true to some extent, especially in today's world. But the main things, whether you live on a deserted island or the top penthouse in New York City, those qualities must be in your day to live a fulfilling life. And I've learned this after years and years of trial and error that really caused me a lot of pain, because no matter what I was doing, if I didn't have that diversification of my energy into conducive categories or behaviors, the end of the day just felt like regretful. It didn't feel like a great day. And now it just feels like we're just mastering the day every day. And that's what's making us feel so great and making us feel so unlocked to do so much better. And now that I'm creating more proactively, I can just feel a complete difference in how I can show up for everything else. So to whatever level you're creating and honoring your highest potential, whether it's 60% or 70%, that's the level of yourself you're able to give to everyone else. If I'm only giving 60% of my potential to my creation, to my movement, to all this, I can only be 60% of the man that you need. So when that connection is like ultra clear, you can't unsee it. And it's been huge for me to really just not only come to that awareness, but then begin the process of integrating and embodying to a level that is reasonable and incremental, like we talked about before. Oh man, my life just feels completely different. I feel like a man. And not just like the average man nowadays, but like what a man is meant to be. Truly. In the way it's been lost for hundreds of years, thousands of years.
Yeah.
And there's just something about that I see more and more men ready for. And I'm excited to see what it looks like in my own behavior, just trying to exemplify that to the best I can. And then whoever is ready to do something similar to, us to have the modalities to do it together.
Wow. Yeah, it's so interesting because I feel like you're living your word for this year, which is, you want to tell them?
Devotion.
Devotion. And we've been really working on this word devotion. We do these like contemplative practices where we read from this big book, and one of the things is on devotion. And Cam's like, just read that to me. Let's like record one of us speaking, and I'm going to just have it in my ear. I'm just going to have it played back. And I think like devotion has been always something that's been somewhat misleading, because we only hear about devotion to other. We only hear like devotion outside of ourselves. Like, I am devoted to this object, to this person, to this thing. But what Cam and I have really landed on that I think really strikes at how you've mastered this is that it's devotion to the present moment and devotion to right here, right now. And every time you see or feel yourself going outside of the moment, bringing yourself back. Just every time you're floating away, bringing yourself back. And it's a practice. Like devotion is devotion to the present. And that just never occurred to me until we were talking about that and feeling into that, because I remember you were like, what am I meant to be devoted to? Remember when you asked me that?
Yeah.
And then I was like,
Because it's partially you, right?
Right.
In terms of
But
relationships.
that's just one part of
Yeah,
it.
it's partially the other responsibilities we have, the commitments of what we're growing. But it's like, that's not really it. The main thing is being devoted to being fully present where your feet are.
Right.
Whatever's in front of you, that is what exists in your reality.
Yes.
Because when we're in a room, but we're anywhere but in that room, in our minds,
Mm-hmm.
that's when people feel disconnected from us. That's when the creations look like slop as opposed to Mozart.
Yeah.
That's when workouts don't go the way you want to, or just in general, everything. It's slighted. It's robbed of the injection of energy that it deserves. And so also, that being said, when you become more fully present, you get very clear on what is worth being in front of you and what doesn't.
Right. That's key.
It's like, I got notes. If I'm going to be giving it my all to everything, I ain't going to be giving it to bullshit.
Right.
And so that's been a huge part of it, which thankfully I think 2025 was big for us, of letting go of any obligation we felt to be around certain people, to do certain tasks, to do those other things that we've been told we must be by society or by family, those other things. Like just letting that all go. Be like, what do I want? What if I were to embody would honor what's best for myself, my family, and the service I want to give the world? That's it.
Right.
And thankfully we had that, I think the harder part checked off, to now a lot of our life is just the things that we know are deeply aligned. And man, it's feeling amazing. It's feeling really good to do.
Yeah, that actually reminds me of something I wanted to touch on, because what's kind of funny is that Cam followed the lead on this for like our entire relationship, and then one day I just like woke up from my waking coma on this and was like, oh, okay, I get it. Nope, never again. And then Cam almost like fell into a coma, but it's like we switched roles, but then he was like, oh wait, what am I doing? No, never again. And I'm talking about technology, of course.
Yeah, I feel like I was at like 80%,
yeah.
right?
You were so
and you
much
were at
higher
like
than
40,
me. Yeah.
But then you were like, oh, I get it
now.
now.
It's done.
98%, 100%. And I'm like,
and you're like,
oh shit, I'm slacking. I gotta give my hands up.
That's literally how it was.
I feel like that's like what relationships are meant to be.
Right.
It's like in the most subtle, loving way.
Right.
With no like you should type beat. They're like accountability partners. They're mirrors for each other.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be so hard for me to have destructive habits around you who doesn't really allow any of that in her life anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I wanted to give an update, because this was an unresolved loop that I wanted to update everybody on. So there was an episode, one of these the last couple of weeks, where I was talking about really having a hard time not being on X, the platform. And that was one of my spontaneous cry sessions. So shout out if you were there. You had to be there. FOMO generation, of course. So I had this moment, and then I was really struggling with it, like really, really in the freaking tunnel of despair around not being on social media, because I was in this liminal space of like giving it up and feeling withdrawal. Like that was what it was. It was me feeling withdrawal from social media addiction and technology addiction. Now, did I know that at the time? Like probably a little bit, but like I didn't fully realize that. I didn't think that it was that bad, because I know people who are way worse than me. I know people who are on their phone literally all day long, but I was not allowing myself to fully acknowledge how much of a sway social media had on my emotional state, on my ability to focus, on whether or not I could wake up and feel confident to share my voice without editing or modulating or trying to people please. So I didn't realize the impact it was having fully. And when I finally, went through that tunnel and decided I'm just going to stay with it, I committed to being off of it. I think you had told me like, I want you to try going off of it for like 3 days or something. Remember that? It was like a small stretch of time where you're like, what if you didn't go on social media until like the following week or something?
This was after, I think it was just like a few days. This was after you told me about a story where you just checked it. I think it was like LinkedIn or something like that.
Oh,
where you checked it and you were like, you just like look drained. You're just like, I checked LinkedIn and I saw this person was
Yeah.
doing this.
Which that really is what gets me is I
Yeah.
start to feel like I'm behind, or that I think what social media does to me personally, and you can really relate to this if you're like a high achieving person who can pretty much do anything because you have the competence level to be like, I could be a designer, or I could be this, or I could be a writer. So if you're that kind of person, when you go out into social media, you basically see a mirror of all the things that you could be doing, but you forget that that's not what you should be doing. But all you see is like, I could do that. I could do that if I really put my 100% self in. So then social media almost becomes like this constant reminder that you're not doing these things that wouldn't have even been in your head if you didn't have social media. So that was towards the end, the impact that social media, even my limited use of it, was having. Is I'd see a post of somebody who sometimes I knew them, sometimes I didn't. And I'd just be like really put into this spiral on comparing myself and measuring stick of, oh my gosh, I'm nothing. What have I done? I feel like so regretful. This person has this and I haven't even done this yet. And it would really just end up nowhere good. Always a negative spiral. And of course, I would try to just self-soothe and get myself kind of back to base, but it's very hard to hide around Cam because he knows me so well. And my energy is just like a light switch. It's like, there's no hiding. If I am not in a good mood, you know. And it's not even because I'm loud about it. It's actually because I'm very quiet. And I'm just like a volcano, just like radiating. So then Cam is like, hey, baby.
What's going
on? And he just immediately clocks me. So yeah, there's no hiding around here. So I told him about it. And then he was like, okay, well, want to try this challenge of just not using your phone at all for like 3 or 4 days. It was the weekend. It was a long weekend. And I was like, yeah, okay, I'll do that. Why not? Like, I have no resistance to not using my phone. We took 2 weeks off of all devices and we really enjoyed that. So I was like, you know what? That's, I think, exactly what I need. And it was coming from a very empowered place and not a place of judging myself, which I think was the key. Because when Cam would bring me like, oh, hey, I feel like you're addicted to your phone, you're addicted to technology, it would be like offensive. And I'd be like, no, I'm not. I got to prove to you. And like, there was just a weird part of me that would come out and try to like be combative spiritually about it. Like I wasn't like fist fighting this man, but like I would just be like, no, you're gonna see that you're wrong. Like I have a great relationship with it, right? And then
it's like a drug addict.
Yeah, exactly, like a tech drug addict. So then it was like my choice this time. So when you brought up okay, let's try 4 days without it, I was like, oh yeah, that sounds great. Like that sounds like exactly what I need. But then I went on those 4 days and I had such a great time. I was just reading. I think I read like 2 or 3 books in that time. I'm a very fast reader when I have nothing else to do. And I was absorbing all this information and like telling Kim about it, having all these breakthroughs, getting these incredible ideas. And by the time the 4 days was up, I was like, oh my gosh, like I get it. Like I get it. I now understand because I had the gift of contrast that when I was on my phone before I went on this break, I was down bad. And then I just didn't touch my phone at all for a full weekend. And now I feel like I'm unstoppable. I have so much focus. I have so much creativity. Nothing's in my way. I don't care about perception. I don't care how I'm being received. I'm just more free in myself. Like it was a drastic difference. And something about that just like stuck. Like that one had staying power.
I felt a switch like 36 hours in. It's like a day and a half.
Right.
I just looked at you and I'm like, oh,
like
the phoenix is rising.
She's got it. Yeah.
She's got it.
It took me a second, y'all. But like that, going back to like Cam's inputs about what really drove his feeling of like totality and showing up in presence, the big thing for me was being off of technology. Like, so at this point, I use my phone as a tool. I check my messages once a day at the very end of the day because I don't want to use any of my most creative energy, like being sucked into like messages. That even includes like team messages. So I have a rule with myself where if I wake up and I have a really high leverage thing to do, I do nothing until that's done. Like that is like my new rule for myself, which works super well. So we wake up, we have a very slow, easy morning. We have breakfast together. We do some rituals that we love doing and just set the intentions for the day. I light the candle in my office. I light my baby's candle. We close our office doors. And then I just literally go into the highest leverage task after meditating and some other things. But it's that like discipline, that is what I was missing, because how we get sucked into low leverage task and mouse task, as we were saying before, is not valuing our energy enough to realize that our peak energy of the day is being wasted on things that could be done later or done by someone else or delegated. Or maybe you're not even the person who's meant to be doing this thing, and then somebody else is meant to be doing this thing if you have a team or you're an entrepreneur. And so I just realized that so profoundly, and then just started doing this thing where I don't use my phone at all. I've been in a tunnel. I use it as a tool just to communicate with AI, honestly, via voice notes. And that's it. And I go in, I have little pockets of my day I schedule in to check Slack because my approvals are needed on things. We've been doing a lot of design work recently to unblock the walk's visual identity. And so I've just been in Canva like no one's business. And me and one of our team members, who's an absolute baller, just like, hey, what do you think about this? And then we go back and forth and stuff. But it's in time frames. It's like I don't give my peak energy to things that could be done when I'm tired. So I just wanted to share that the impact of not only what I just said, but going off of social media has had on my productivity. And I feel now like there's just not going to be a time that I go back. Like I have no desire to go back on social media. I don't have any of the apps on my phone. I wouldn't even feel tempted to go on it if I did have them on, because why I've been able to make such a drastic swing in output has been reducing the input of social media. Period.
Straight up.
Right. It could not be more true. And if I would not be surprised if like a couple months in, now that I've really stabilized this behavior, I've been like this for a full month, like what I just told you. So this isn't new. This isn't like, oh, I've been off social media for like a week. Let's see how it goes. Like this has been the case since that break. So it's been about a month of this. And I feel like it's just my new reality. And it feels a lot more loving of myself. And it feels like I'm valuing my energy so highly that the external will rise to match me now.
Most definitely.
And that I will always have the energy to do the thing that I need to do, because I'm not allowing my energy to leak out in unproductive places, because that is what makes a day feel like a waste, or a day feel like, oh man, that wasn't a good day, is because you just leaked your energy too much. Yeah. So I just feel like that has been the breakthrough of the century for me. Of course, back to what Baberton Sweet has always recommended that I do, and he's been nudging me towards it gently because he sees the impact that it has. But I just wanted to share this because you've seen my journey with this, and you've seen how much I've struggled to give social media up. And I think that it's a very relatable struggle that I've been through. And if you've been considering even just looking at your habits through a little bit more of an objective eye, looking at your screen time, paying attention to how you feel before and after. This would be my one reflection to you, is you don't have to do anything at all because you're perfect exactly as you are. And if you want to use social media just like I did for the first 2 years of our relationship on a daily basis, and like scrolling X on the toilet kind of a thing, and, you know, just trying to like find any moment that Cam's not present with me and then open my phone and like scroll around, like that's how I was, because I'm not going to be on it when I'm with him. But then the second he's not there, I'm like, you know, I don't know if it's relatable or not, but I feel like people really, there's like a compulsion to grab your phone when there's nothing to do. And even that habit, it has a lot of fruit there. But if you just look at yourself and your habits a little bit more objectively through a place of non-judgment, and just say, how many hours am I spending on my phone? And how does my phone make me feel? Do I feel more uplifted, more powerful when I use my phone? I'll tell you, there are sometimes the answer is yes. Just because I've been off social media doesn't mean I'm not listening to podcasts. I listen to one podcast And I listen to it every week. Right now, I'm just simplifying my inputs like drastically. It's a podcast of this woman who I'm doing her mentorship program. So like I kind of like pick a role model or a mentor and I just go heavy on them. And like their energy is like what's in my consciousness. But I have that, which I really enjoy. And it makes me feel more positive and uplifted, and then nothing else. And so I'm not saying like go cold turkey, you're not going to use your phone ever, but really pay attention to like what content makes you feel positive, uplifted, like you are capable, that you are enough as you are, that you are empowered with new information, and then what content makes you feel like the exact opposite, or what apps make you feel like the exact opposite. And if you just notice that, like how do I feel right after I close the app? Just do a quick energy audit. Do my energizer drained? Do I feel empowered or disempowered? Do I feel like I am self-sourced and confident in myself, or am I stuck in comparison? Ask yourself these questions and then maybe make a decision that feels right off of them. And not to say you have to do anything at all, but I want to challenge you the way that I've challenged myself on this, because I used to be very angry around this topic and just seething with rage when people would bring it up. And so I know that maybe some of you out there are like that too. And I love you for it, because obviously I was there. But anyway, just wanted to give a little something to think about, something to carry with you.
And all that said, like we're off the devices, but we're also creating more than ever. And so by the time this podcast launches, our personal profile is going to be popping.
Right.
Like it's really cool to see that you don't have to be on them to be on them.
Mm-hmm.
And so we understand these are incredible tools that like are dramatically changing the world for the better, for the people that are ready for it. And like we can just use those to the best of our ability. And so that's been something we've really been executing on. Our creation to consumption ratio is getting to a really good spot.
It is.
And so I'm really excited about that. That also means probably more Whimsy Worlds coming.
Yes.
We have more space to do it.
We do.
So more Whimsy Worlds, more short form, more written form, everything. And I'm just really excited about that. And just to cap it off, I'm very proud of you. And I'm proud of us. This has been an amazing month in our life. And it has been everything we ever could have imagined. And I'm really excited to see what the next 11 months of the year are going to look like.
Me too, my sweetie. I love you so much. I wouldn't want to do it with anybody else, my love.
Yeah.
You are the
me,
most
and all our incredible Whimsy World fam.
Yay!
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Thank you guys for being here. We love you so much, and we're so grateful for you. Thank you for riding this beautiful emotional roller coaster, this seasonal train with us. And we can't wait to see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye, y'all.
Love y'all. Peace.